Welcome to Technology and Education Today. I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. And today we're going to talk about e-learning and what are the different things that we need to go through in order to successfully develop an e-learning course.
Okay, by that I assume you mean we're going to discuss some basic items that the audience should be aware of.
Absolutely.
Cool.
As an instructional designer, of course, we have the instructional design process, the ADDIE model, analysis, design, development, implementation, evaluation, and the different flavors of that and the different models that are offered, instructional design models. But we also have different aspects a little bit further beyond the instructional design aspect that we need to focus in on.
Okay, so step one is plan.
That would be a great idea. Nicely aligned with analysis stage in the instructional design process, but yes, planning. For example, what is the course environment we're going to be using, the learning management system, course environment. Who are our clients, who are the learners, what are the outcomes that need to be addressed, such and such.
What resources we're going to need for the course.
What resources are available for you to address the issues within the course. Do you have a multimedia specialist on call that has already been allocated to you? Do you have someone who can put together the learning course management environment for you, or are you going to be tasked with doing that? The quality and level of experience and expertise necessary helps define what that course is going to look like.
And also, what is the overall look and feel of the course going to be? Is it going to be?
Are you going to integrate metaphoric representations? Is the usability going to be a concern?
Or are you going to be a very direct instructional type of creating?
Oh yes,
direct
the learning philosophy behind it.
Yes, well, that's important.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just making fun of myself because that's one of my little favorite
It's all
topics.
part of the plan, but basically, yes, you need some sort of plan. And I think people, when they
as well as when it needs to go live.
Right.
What is your timeline?
And when people, teachers, for example, when a teacher without any previous training in instructional design or designing courses for e-learning is assigned a course, frequently there is no planning.
Conception of what you're actually getting yourself into.
Well, right, but there is no plan. So they just tend to create the course on the fly, so to speak, and figure, well, I think I'll do lesson number 1 like this, and lesson number 2 like this, or workshop number 1 like this, and workshop number 2 like this. But there is no overall plan. And
I had no concept when I was getting into an e-learning environment, designing and developing an e-learning environment. No concept.
Well, that was 10 years ago, and
15.
15. Okay.
Worse than that.
Okay, 15. So but who's counting?
And all the issues that I address within a learning environment, all of a sudden I had to address them within an online learning environment. I had no concept how to do that. No one had ever discussed.
Yeah. So what you really
topic.
need is an overall plan, and it has to be
and timeline.
An informed overall plan.
Yes.
So before you start creating an online course, do some reading if there are no workshops in online course creation. If there are workshops for you to attend, make certain that the workshop is a practical workshop and doesn't sit around discussing philosophy all day long.
Theory all the time. Yeah. Theories are brilliant and wonderful right up until you have to actually produce something.
Yes, because you're going to find that you're against a timeline. So the next step is course creation.
That helps, yes. I find, at least for myself, I find when I'm actually sitting down to create the course, units of instruction, and laying all of that information out, I just lost my train of thought. I find that I need to do it within a short period of time because I lose my train of thought in the instructional design process. Too many other things taking my time and effort and focus, as well as the voice of the verbiage, the textual information, as well as audio and such. When you're creating an online course, I find that as the weeks go by, my tone changes depending upon my mood and experiences over that last week's time and such. So having it over a significantly condensed period of time, the flow works more appropriately for me. Do you find the same?
Well,
blah, 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 blah. What do you think?
Well, interestingly enough, it usually takes me 1 to 2 months to design and put together an online course, and that's only because I don't work at it 100% of the time during the day. But in either event, I think what you need to do is figure out how much time you have to create the course, and then budget your time each and every day to so you'll have enough time to finish the course by the course due date. The last thing you want to do is to leave everything for the last minute, because much the same as in other occupations and endeavors.
Chaos ensues.
Yes, if you procrastinate, it will become chaotic, and that's when all
Fun breaks loose.
Yes, and any mistakes that you might have possibly made when you had the correct amount of time and worked on a consistent basis will not only become possible mistakes, they will become errors. And this means typos. This means inconsistency with the writing of the course. This means even putting in due dates for assignments can be affected if you don't have a lot of time, because you're under pressure and you want to get that course up and running.
It usually takes me months to actually design out a course in my head before anything goes on paper. But I did try once, after several online courses. I had an opportunity to develop several online courses. One semester I did develop a course on the fly while we were teaching. I was a unit or two ahead of everyone else, putting it all together. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible semester.
I can imagine.
It was just, I will never do that again. Stupidest thing, the most stupid thing I've done in a very long time.
Right.
It was just chaos, pure chaos. Everything was at the last minute, it felt like to me. It didn't look like it to the students, so I was told. But to me, it felt like everything was at the last minute, and it could have been done so much more appropriately.
And you know, if you have enough time, if you allocate your time correctly, then you can easily go to the next step, which is to publish your course and then test it.
Yeah, I've never been good at that. But it's necessary and appropriate.
Right. And
links aren't working. Links are never working. I go through my courses before each semester. Oh, the links are brilliant. Yes, change everything. By the time the course starts, gone.
Yeah.
No more.
Links
no
have
longer.
a way of breaking, and then things that we think are perfectly clear for students, if you test it, you'll find that they discover all sorts of nuances or
spelling errors, miscommunicated information,
or things that are just inferential leaps where the instructor feels that the student just naturally should know this information and be able to make the leap to the next step. And the students say, "Wait, we don't understand what you mean by this." And assignments where the designer of the online course or the workshop for that matter thinks that are perfectly clear and easily locatable on the part of the students turns out to be not so clearly located, easily identifiable. So
and
basically,
people like me that are rather verbose in the way they speak and write can be really annoying to someone who just wants to know what needs to be done. Oh, I'll explain this, and here's a little bit of flowery that,
and see if you
doesn't work.
If you don't have that testing period planned before you implement the course, you will find that the testing period then takes place as you start teaching the course for the first time, because you will be inundated with email questions on the part of your students, and they will locate for you all the inconsistencies in your course. They will inform you where of those instances where they don't understand what you're talking about.
Or even worse, won't inform you. Just try to muddle through it without causing any issues with the professor. Oh gosh, just tell me. I love the people who will actually tell me what's going on in the course, what's not working, because no one else will. Yes. Everyone else is trying to be so polite and no, tell me, I want to know.
So the more work you do up front, the less work you have to do when you actually teach the course.
Absolutely.
Online.
Preview and edit, preview and edit.
Preview, edit, and finally make certain that that course is ready to go. Get the stamp of approval on it, and this assumes that only
publish and test it though. Let's not forget
we're sort of assuming now that as a new course designer, you are designing it on your own. You're doing it on your own.
That's only because we did.
Yes, well, but it's a common situation in a lot of colleges. Yes. They may have a instructional design support department, but if you have a college or university,
if you're very, very lucky.
Yes, if you have a college or a university that has a faculty of 300 people, 400, or even 100, and there are only 4 or 5 instructional designers, or maybe 10, there's only so much time that they can devote to your course. So it's best if you can design a course on your own and
proactively engage in it.
Yes, and then get your instructional designers to go through with you go through it with you and test that course and find any inconsistencies. But the better you can design that course to begin with, the fewer problems you're going to have when that course is implemented. And that,
Nicely said.
thank you. And that said, brings us to the end of this edition of Technology and Education Today.
Well, there still needs to be the approval process by whatever people, administrators, are overseeing the online learning stuff, but the approval process probably is significantly different for each different
Correct.
location.
And you know what?
We're done.
I approve.
Hush!
I approve this
understand
ending.
that.
I approve this ending, and I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye!